Oh boy. Just wait till this shrapnel trap cools down. They are going to all get destroyed. We are back after a couple of days, and I wanted to show you this build that I was telling you about a couple of weeks ago. Remember that explosive build that I said you can take what you dish out? Well, this build has a ton of explosive resistance. So you're not only defensively solid when going into a legendary or heroic mission, but you can also deal the amount of damage that you need to destroy everything. Now, I was having so much fun with this build, I had to show it to you. It's one of the builds that I think that I'm going to take into the climax mission difficulty. Like I said, I don't know what to expect when it comes to that master difficulty level. Hopefully it's not annoying with a whole bunch of different modifiers. I know they said it's not going to be like legendary, but they could just make it really annoying to where you can't really do anything except play exactly how they want you to play. And I hope that it's not like that. Nonetheless, you got to come in there prepared. So I got something for you. And there are two ways you can do this, okay? You could run this with demolition and specialization. If you do, most likely you won't have 6 skill tiers like I do right here. I don't know which specialization deals more damage based on which one you're using, the extra skill tier or the extra explosive damage. You get, I think, 15% from the specialization. Let me go check it out. Okay, for demo, here it is. You get an extra 10% explosive damage. So I guess it's not that bad. But for this build, I'm using Technician Specialization for the extra skill tier. And it's just a great specialization for all skill builds. I mean, I think I'm addicted to this spec because of everything that it has. You can choose between skill damage or healing, which I have skill damage. And of course, like I always say, you have 12% damage to drones, skill proxies, and robotics. This is really effective when you have explosive builds because, you know, those explosions just basically destroy armor plates and robotic dogs. Anyways, here's the build, and of course I'm using the capacitor. Expertise to 14% more weapon damage. This gives you more weapon damage based on the amount of skill tiers you have, and it gives you skill damage stacks when you shoot the enemy, up to 40 stacks. And for my secondary, I'm using the lefty. If you want to use this, it'll give you more damage to armor, 20% more if you deal damage with a grenade. It applies a mark, but this is a little bit of a hassle to do unless you're in a team and somebody else is ready. It's just a nice secondary to have because I'm not using any other one, really. Check out the build, okay? And you have to do this a certain way because if you don't, you won't get the explosive resistance that you need or the explosive damage. So you need an RNK, which grants 25% explosive resistance for the 2-piece. Now, first of all, you need the Ninja Bike Messenger backpack, which is the source of everything on this build, because without it, you wouldn't be able to put this together, okay? The RNK helps a lot because it gives me 15% incoming repairs, and the Ninja Bike allows the second piece, which gives me 25% explosive resistance. The other source of resistance is the 𝐒𝐮𝐲. This came out later on, maybe a couple seasons ago, and this gives you a lot of LMG damage for the third piece, but we're not worried about that right now. For the first piece, this grants 20% explosive resistance. Now, off the bat, that's 45% already, and you're halfway there. Because I think the explosive resistance cap is 80%, I believe. So that's the defense for this build. What about the offense? Well, as you know, you want China Light Industries and the 2-piece Grupo Sombra. 20% explosive damage for this, 15% for this. Now the attribute composition you want on here is skill damage and explosive resistance if you can. As you can see here, I don't have it here because Grupo Sombra already comes as a weapon core. So you're going to have to get lucky in order to get the stat rolls that you need. But don't worry about it. You don't need this as much because you're going to have plenty on the other pieces here, except for the chest piece. We're going to get into that in a second. I had to roll this off for the purposes of another build, but it doesn't matter. I've already reached the cap for what I need with the resistance. I'm going to show you the stats in a second. And you all know about this chest piece talent. Perfectly explosive delivery. The chest piece is called the Combustor. And this right here, after you throw a skill out 1.5 seconds later after landing, it creates an explosion every 5 seconds, damaging enemies within 5 meters. And it scales from 25 to 100% based on your skill tiers, which I have 6, and the damage of your concussion grenade. And that is a pretty penny as well, 1.9 million damage. Okay, so it's going to be half of that. When it comes to the skills, you can use whichever one has an explosive element to it. You can use the explosive Seeker Mine, The hives stingers are considered explosive damage. You can use cluster seeker mines. You can use the burster firefly, which is actually very good and has a really low cooldown at 15.7 seconds. But what I'm using is the explosive sticky bomb. In PvP, deals a ton of damage, and in PvE, can delete NPC's armor. I know you saw the gameplay, and some of you said that you don't even have this skill. My second skill is called Shrapnel Trap. This is the perfect skill for the combustor chest piece, because Palisade Steelworks gives you, for the second piece, armor on kill. Whenever one of these traps gets destroyed, it gives you 15% armor or 10% armor from that trap that explodes, no matter what. And it doesn't matter. Whenever there's a trap on the ground, there's always going to be that 5-meter explosion every 5 seconds. So it just sits on the ground forever. It's the perfect skill for the combustor chest piece. And it deals a ton of damage, causes bleed also. This is a really good area of denial skill that helps you zone enemies. But here are the stats, okay? Not much critical hit chance and damage. I have about, 20% crit chance and 99% crit damage. It's decent, but we're not really worried about that here. What we want to look at is the explosive resistance, which I have 81.9%. Now, like I said, I think the cap is like 80%, so anything past it would be not worth investing in. That's why I said it didn't really matter what I had on the build. As long as you have a few rolls with explosive resistance and skill damage, you're good to go. And that's the build. I think this is a very useful build when it comes to utility and versatility in legendary missions and heroic. I didn't even bother playing heroic because I knew it was just going to delete everything. So legendary seemed fitting, and I was able to withstand the explosions and the damage that they were dishing out to me, just staying in cover and playing tactful. But anyways, let me know what you think about this, because this is an amazing build, and I figured I had to share it with the community. And as always, I appreciate you watching to the end. If you liked the video, like it. Also, subscribe to my channel if you're new here. We got about 1,000 subscribers away until I hit that 50K, and I can't wait to see how it looks on my channel. So that'll do it for this one, fam. I'll see you in the next one. Be right out.